What is up, woke family? It's your boy Woke Bucks, and I'm back again with another live stream. You feel what I'm saying, woke family? Lex Fridman versus Kanye West, man. Uh, for all you guys that don't know who Lex Fridman, he's a Hebrew. He's a Jewish man. He's a Jew. So we're gonna see his thoughts on what he believes is going on right now with Kanye. We're also gonna get into a Kyrie video as well too, with the anti-Semitism. And I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts and my opinions, and then we'll watch a little bit of Andrew Tate. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, guys, let's get into this video, man. Let's do it.
With Ye, the legendary. The following is a conversation with Ye, the legendary artist, producer, and designer formerly known as Kanye West, on this, the Lex Fridman podcast.
Based off of our connection and just you being a friend, I need to show you my two tech companies and get your perspective on it. Because now I have friends that can give a perspective. Like when I would work on albums, I had other friends that worked on albums and they would give me their perspectives on it.
You want to do this?
We are doing it. This is part of it.
This is part of it?
Absolutely.
All right, beautiful.
Oh, well, I wanted to finish. The thing is, okay, you're going to ask me different questions, but I'm about growing and building and bringing the idea to life. So when I see you, I say, oh, this guy understands how to hire engineers. Where I'm coming from Hollywood, coming from press, coming from media, all of the guys, that so many of the guys that have been like voices and faces and talking heads, whatever, have not understood how to engineer product. And that's the reason why I was able to jump past everyone in the entertainment field and become, whatever the net worth is, 11 billion. I'm gonna stop putting the whole black thing on my worth. Like, let's just see where I am on the scale of life, because that's a cop out for me to say richest black guy of all time, because that's feeding into the same, trauma economy that Black Lives Matter feeds into. That's why I love and respect engineers. That's the only thing that we really need to teach in school is engineering. We don't need to teach history. We don't need to teach anything that is subjective. It needs to only be engineering taught in school, and everything else needs to be recess. Nothing that at all, any.
Okay, so what Ye is saying is that, at least from my perspective, right? I believe what he's saying is everything that is taught in school should have to do in regards to numbers, right? This is one thing that I can actually agree with. I think in school they teach a lot of useless topics that you really cannot apply to your life, right? And won't even help you get paid well, right? You have a lot of professions that teach people how to become underpaid, and they're not getting paid well, and they wonder why that is. They wonder why why that's the situation, because they're engaging in professions that are low paying. They're not really solving a big problem in the world, and then they wonder why they get paid low. Like, this is how people have to understand it. The bigger problems you solve, the more you get paid. The less problems you solve, or the smaller problems, the less you get paid. Feel me? That's what it is, woke family. So that's what it is, man. Let's continue to watch.
Force subjective information is just to weaken and indoctrinate our species. And that's what schools do now.
As an engineer, I love hearing you say that, but to push back, history is not, the interpretation of history might be subjective, but history has some facts, and they're useful to give a grounding to the way you do engineering.
I don't 100% believe in anything, any concept of the future or any concept of history, because history was just written by the victors.
Yeah, that's
So
That's a
if
fair
I
point.
see stuff happen on the day that later that day is reported wrong. So how wrong is something reported 1,000 years ago?
Facts.
And why would we argue about something that's not in the now? Because
Facts.
that's the only thing that everyone can agree upon is
That's a
that
fact.
it is now, right now.
Yeah, well, you try not to make the mistakes of the past. That's the usefulness of history, the limited usefulness of history.
The biggest mistake from the past that we keep making is looking at the past.
Too much, giving too much value to the past.
Too much value to the past. We are now. We are now. We are here. We are one species. We are one race. We're here. And it's time. And the leadership is changing because you have Elon as a leader, Ye as a leader, and we're the top leaders. We're more influential than the presidents.
So you're a human being. with engineering challenges before you, with STEM player, with Parlor, what's the hardest thing in front of you on the engineering front?
That's the first sentence that any of our species needs to hear when they're born. You are a human being with engineering challenges, and I consider challenges to be opportunities
Yeah.
in front of you.
Yeah.
Literally, like, let me see a piece of paper. I need to write that down. That's the beginning
That's a good line.
of our new species constitution. I'm gonna do the paper like this wide.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
put it in
yeah.
widescreen. This for Ridley. You are no, let me like you
Yeah.
are a being with engineering
Opportunities or challenges?
opportunities. I'm sorry, I don't spell as good as John Legend.
Well, guys, what I think I'm getting from what Ye is saying is that he's saying that human beings, every child that's born has an opportunity to, and like I was saying before, right? Every child has the opportunity to be able to solve either a big or a small problem in the world. But understand that your level of how much you're paid is in complete reflection to how big or how small of a problem you solve. You solve a bigger problem, you get paid the big bucks. Why do you think Steve Jobs? Why do you think Zuckerberg? Why do you think Elon Musk? Why do you think Ye? People like themselves are getting paid billions of dollars. There's a reason why. They're solving big problems in society. So that's what it is, man. That's what it is. If you solve a big problem, you're going to get paid a lot of money. If you solve a small problem, you're going to get paid a small amount of money. What we need to do as people is we need to determine what we're not only passionate about, but a problem in the world that you know that you're called for to be able to solve. Because if you can solve a problem in the world that you know you're called to solve, God is going to reward you handsomely with the amount of money that's going to come into your pockets. That is a fact. Let's continue.
Opportunities in before you. I like the before because it can mean forward or before you. This right here, I've always said I'm the top 5 writer in human existence, but this right here is pushing me to like number 4 or number 3.
It's a good line.
Because who would you say is the top? It's top writer in human existence. We know who it is.
That's subjective. Who's that?
It's factual though.
Who's that?
It's like, who's the top person in tech history? It's not subjective.
Wow.
There's a non-subjective answer to both of those. Both of those people have influenced 30% of our existence.
So the influence is the main metric of greatness.
Okay, one person,
Yeah.
30% of our language was, the English language was written by them. The other person, 30% of the products we use was led by them. So
30% of our language is written by Shakespeare.
And who's
and then the product.
Look.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
You put Steve above like Elon's of the world? Because Steve is a designer, he's a designer and engineer, but he's a designer, he's a visionary in the design space.
Well, I would lean to him because I'm not an engineer, right? So I'm more like...
But then you're an engineer. If Steve is an engineer, you're an engineer, essentially.
He's a cultural engineer. Like the people who run the emotions of the world and run the world off of people's emotions right now are social engineers. Mm-hmm. And social engineering is so important, like city design. There's a fancier word for that. But I was in Oxnard last night to see Anthony Jeselnik. Mm-hmm. And I gotta find out what his opening joke was because I'm doing interviews and I'm thinking I'm funny. And I like that he just kept on saying 20-year anniversary. I've been doing this for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And his opening joke was so high level, I realized that I wasn't funny. I realized that this dude is a professional at what he does. And so many things are subjective. I always talk about this. It's like, people are arguing like, it's Emily Ratajkowski.
Guys, hold on 1 second. Okay, guys, my bad. Let's continue.
Radikowski the hottest, person. And I'm like, that's such a subjective thing. But like, if you go and shoot 3-pointers with Steph Curry, it's not subjective, right? Or if you go and compare bank accounts with Elon, it's not subjective. And another thing that's not subjective, porn,
What about it?
dick size. It's not subjective. You can measure.
But porn is more about more than just dick size, and greatness is more than the size of the bank account, right? So there's a
But
subjective
greatness
element,
is subjective, though.
right? So do you care about the stuff that's objective or subjective more?
Objective.
Because greatness to me is what matters. The bank account comes and goes. The impact on our society, like you said, social engineering, the impact on the collective intelligence of our species, that what permeates throughout the rest of the time.
I like what you said. The impact. I'm taking notes. How did
Love
you? What'd you
this.
say? The
On the
impact of
collective intelligence of our species.
impact on the collective
Intelligence of our species.
intelligence.
When Ye is writing down the words that came out of my dumb mouth, I have made it in life.
There's a lot of people that have kind of like sat through. I wanted to wear a different color hoodie because I was just tired of seeing this hoodie in all the interviews. And there's a lot of kids that are with me. They see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And they had to sit through all of the muck of all the previous interviews to get to this. Every interview has been just an emotional
Roller coaster.
it's just like been an argument up to this point.
Yep.
This is the first of this is the next frontier of where our species is gonna head. It starts here. It starts with you, Lex.
So this is the first time I heard you say the word engineering at least so many times, which I love hearing. So this is where you're at. You're like that newborn. You're a being with engineering opportunities.
Yeah. And we're all a newborn, because in Christianity we say born again. We're all newborns.
That's
And
facts.
everyone can everyone shall, I don't like the word can. Shall, the only thing about shall is like it kind of dictates, and can kind of lets people off the hook.
Mhm.
So I haven't found the perfect post Shakespeare and post Steve Jobs and post Elon and post Ye and post Drake way to communicate this. But we update, and we do. And what the current media structure, no, it's not actually nothing that's holding us. There's nothing actually
My bad about that, guys. Let's continue.
About black people, they could have killed me at Beyonce had the best video, but we're here now. So we just keep on leaning and leaning and leaning. And there's these things where I just think about, there'll be times when I'm at war and every now and then when the bombs stop going off and all the headlines and the smearing and all that stuff going off, I think about my family and I'll think about Kim and I'll think about how, you know, King Koopa has her in the castle right now and just on Mario Brothers, you know how it is. Just
Mhm.
go for the princess and you get to this level and it's like, "Dur, dur, dur, dur." I'm like, I
Yeah.
sung the song wrong, right? And then they take the princess again.
Which one are you, Mario?
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing, the thing you love the most about Kim from a Mario perspective and the princess? Looking back, was there a moment?
She's definitely my favorite of all time.
Yeah. Was there a moment that, like that catches you off guard and you say, I love this human being?
Yeah. I mean, it's
Guys, before we continue to listen to what Ye said, I'm gonna be honest. I have to give Lex Freeman his props. The difference between him and all of the other people that we've watched from the interviews, I think we saw his interview with Pierce Morgan and then some of the other tabloids and stuff. Lex is probably the most calm interviewer in world history, bro. Can't even cap. Like, it might be an exaggeration, but you can tell by the way that he's interviewing him, he gives off such a calm demeanor. Like, the only person I could probably compare how calm he is to when it comes to interviewing people is probably Adam from No Jumper. Adam 22 from No Jumper. Shout out to Adam 22. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, it's crazy. Let's continue though.
just the DNA is like she's a mix of Rob and Chris.
Can you explain?
I mean, that's like a really high pool right there. Those are like two geniuses.
So okay, so like the entire of history of evolution of the human species created this DNA that created this being. There's a life there. There's a set of memories in the history that brought you together, and you're like, damn, I like this DNA.
Yeah. And so certain people have just like high DNA. Ivanka Trump has high DNA. It's like
How's your DNA? Pretty good.
I think we've seen that. It's been proven. I mean, but look at my mom and look at my dad. Me and my dad have a water purification center in the DR right now, and my dad is the original Steve Jobs, and he was blocked by people around him, and people were using him and taking advantage, and not believing in his vision. My dad's the educated version of Ye,
What'd you learn about life from your dad?
and my dad got girls too.
But those are small details.
That's a big detail,
It's
being
a-
that I found my dad's, Playboy when I was 5 years old. It greatly affected my motivation.
Yeah. All right. So that's part of the engine that drives Yay.
Absolutely. I remember when Pharrell was first in all the videos, and my girl was like, girls like Pharrell. And I was like, I want girls to like me too.
Funny that that's behind all the ambition, all the drive.
That's how we make people. It's how people are made.
It's the desire to be loved. Is that at the individual level, just being noticed, and also at the societal level of scale?
Well, now I've gone past. I'm like at that place where Nikolai Tesla was later into his career, where it wasn't about being loved. It wasn't about sitting at the dinner parties next to Anna Wintour and stuff. It was about getting the idea across. So I have these cells that are very, and I just keep on saying Ridley Scott, but Ridley Scott has a special anointing. It isn't just sci-fi what he's doing. There's something in there, just like George Lucas. There's something different that's there. So
What are you drawing?
I'm drawing these new living cells that we will exist in.
Hmm.
And this is over, okay, let's do like, I don't like talking about money because like man-made money anyway is like 4 quadrillion respected dollars, and then you have other forms of currency. Of course, social currency is super important right now, but this is a drawing, and it's at a pretty good place now. This be 40,000 square feet. I want to start just talking in meters. I just think we should go to anything to restore the Tower of Basel, like they said when the. I'm just draw a person here for scale.
Yeah, that would help.
Okay. What do you think of that? Look at my person. See the scale in this room? All right. So,
Wait, the dot is the person?
yeah. I'm saying it's 40,000 square feet. But that would be like
What are the other parts of the cell?
Okay, so it's a screen. It doesn't go all the way to the top, and it's one hole for light, but the water and the light and air all come in from the top. So that's like the mouth. And then this is the belly button. We're God's iPhone. We're his greatest creation.
Correct.
So this is all connected? These are all connected?
Yes, I'm drawing how these other cells go next to each other.
What's the vision here?
Oh, no.
What'd you learn about life from your dad? What's your favorite thing, the thing you love the most about? What'd you learn about life from your dad?
Like the mouth. And then this is the belly button. Because at the end of the day, you want money right now. It's like everyone knows that between the pesticides and between the. But that would be like.
What are the other parts of the cell?
Okay, so it's a screen. It doesn't go all the way to the top, and it's one hole for light, but the water and the light and air all come in from the top. So that's like the mouth. And then this is the belly button. We're God's iPhone. We're his greatest creation.
So this is all
Yeah, so what I was trying to say is God created man. Now man goes out and creates products and services, which goes to show you that all of these things are connected to God. Because if God didn't create us as human beings, we wouldn't be able to create the products and the services in order to be able to help humanity.
connected? These are all connected?
Yes, I'm drawing how these other cells go next to each other.
What's the vision here?
Happiness. Then we talk about like what's the motivation? Like, yeah, there's a motivation somewhere in the back of my mind of my family. And if it's like where Moses smite the rock and God didn't allow him to get to the promised land, because the promised land is family. That is the promise. That is earth. I mean, that is heaven on earth is family. Family is heaven. That's the promised land. And for your family to be together. So say I smite the rock and God doesn't let me have my family back. My mission in life is still to
help others,
promote families at all costs, and make families' existence easier. So you take this thing, you put a localized farm, say if it's in a community, that we do localized growing, and then we partner with Big Pharma and say, hey, you're actually gonna make more money by making better food. Because at the end of the day, you want money right now. It's like everyone knows that between the pesticides and between the medical industry, and especially America, that we're keeping people sick. And we know that McDonald's makes food that kills people, and Coca-Cola selling sugar water and all this. Like, just in case I haven't pissed off enough people in power.
Yeah.
Okay, so
you're gonna piss off the sugar anybody that's powered on sugar.
Sugar. Well, Sugar What's the Health was actually a documentary on sugar. It wasn't about how bad meat was. It was like a reverse documentary on sugar. a reverse. I don't know if you call it a reverse, like a sub, but if you watch it again, when they show sugar in it, it's just the sugar looks super clean.
Yeah, it's just
So
like
as I state these things, I know that I know I have protection. If I have God's protection, that's why I'm here to
Amen.
this date, right? So it's for me to have this platform and express exactly what I feel because it's kids out there, right? That it's kids that are going to save the world through engineering and through facts. And I've got to download as much of the information and as much of the don't be afraid to state your facts is the biggest thing because the world is being ran by fear. And that
That is
is,
true.
no, actually, God runs the world, but there's just like little cloud, this patina of our ego that deals with the money and the car and the girl we're dating and all this in the clothes we wear and spending too much on clothes and a lot of stuff that I've been involved with promoting. So now what I'm promoting is you have the idea, you say it out loud, like if you had Tourette's, say your truth out loud. If you hate Ye, you hate me, say that out loud. Say whatever you feel out loud. Like you say it non-violently, non-violent. Non-violent, I have to say that like as, as a shout out to Alex Jones, and Trump, where they try to say that when they say their truths out loud, that it's inciting violence. So let's be like really clear. I'm saying that they have criminalized free thought. I hate when people use they, like they gets the blame for everything, right? It's always they.
yeah.
Oh, who the fuck is they exactly?
The reality is that when you start to speak the truth about the reality in the society in which you live in, they're going to call you a neo-Nazi, they're going to call you a bigot, they're going to call you a racist, they're going to call you a homophobe, they're going to call you so many different names. But the reality of the situation is that you have to stand true in what you believe in. You have to stand true to your morals and what you believe in, regardless of how the world sees you. That's what makes you a true woke one of the Most High God.
Problem is they is us.
Yeah. Well, I love that. What we need to do is turn I to we. So we take the responsibility and turn they to us. So we take accountability to us. I to we, and they to us. And that relates, it's a language at the same time. You're seeing the language of our surroundings. You're seeing the language of, okay, one of the things, okay, let's go back to the cell explanation because I'm also doing what's that thing when Elon just put all the information in the open and people could figure out if they could figure it out and open source?
Yeah, open source.
So I'm open sourcing this idea right now so that, engineers and anointed people, anointed beings can collectively contribute to this to push our species forward. So where I've got to with my research is that there will be a hole at the top that allows natural light, natural air, and there's a constant water system. So it becomes like a water city where it's a constant flow that's not, it's regenerative, it's not wasting the water, and it's just a constant flow. So I put the toilet really close to where this I don't want to call it a wave pool, but in the pool, the water is not still.
So that exists in water. Surrounded by water.
Well, the living room is you have two rooms. You have the dry room, which people would call the living room before, and then you have the wet room.
Which is like
how is that a source of happiness? What is broken about our world today that gives you in terms of the pursuit of happiness, which is one of the things
Well, all of our buildings,
in the previous Declaration of Independence.
All of our buildings are based on just the industry and the economy. And then people lean into what people are used to seeing. Like what we think is attractive, because then you go back to the, women who give life. So everyone wants to be attractive to the attractive. And that's the reason why the media goes and gets, Bella Hadid, Kim Kardashian, Emily Ratajkowski. Um, those are the only ones I'm gonna.
There's more.
There's more, but I'm thinking of the ones that I think are attractive.
Yeah, it is subjective.
Yeah, because it's subjective. So to my subjective, which I think the only guys that could argue with me on my opinion on girls would be Brad and Leo, because we're the only ones with the track record, you know. Everything else, so for everybody else, it's subjective. We've got history. So
Are you happy?
absolutely. I'm just here. It's actually it's difficult to make me unhappy. Now I could deal with frustrations, but when those frustrations are, it's like when you've allowed people to be in your life that shouldn't be there, and then they do the thing you knew they were going to do, and you're screaming at them, but you really need to scream at yourself.
Yeah. So you realize anything that's
So this is my thing. Yay. If that's the case, and you know that, I'm not trying to say it, make it seem as if I'm perfect or we're all perfect, but it's like, even when it comes to the women, right? I think we as men have to really understand that with the certain women that we allow in our life, that either have the ability to be a liability or be an asset. Let me say that again. With certain women that we allow into our life, they have the ability to either be an asset or a liability. An asset is somebody that's going to be able to help you bring in more money, or somebody that is going to help you increase your money, right? A liability is somebody who's going to be taking money out of your pocket. Now, granted, I'm not making it seem as if it's bad for you to spend on a woman. No, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. But the thing is that a liability in an asset could also be in the sense that you can also view that in the sense that an asset is somebody who's going to be able to bring you in more peace, if that's what you value, right? If you value peace. But if you're going to be dealing with somebody who's going to be causing you headaches all the time, making you angry, making you pissed off, that person's a liability to your life. You need to cut off the liabilities. And in certain situations, it's generally with the women. The women don't even know that they're a liability to that man's life, and the man doesn't even know himself. So it's just about figuring out who you are deep down inside, in the root of it, and then just giving your energy towards people that are worth you giving your energy towards. And the people that are not worth it, you cut them off and you let them go. For real, for real.
like anger or frustration, that's something that's wrong with you that needs to be dealt with.
Yes. Like right now, okay, say I got this pattern cutter that I wanted to remove because I felt like she was copying our patterns into the computer. And I didn't know why she wanted to do that. And I just wanted to do the patterns by hand. And then,
You mean like automating the patterns? Is that what you
yeah.
mean?
And my head of it, because that's the whole thing. It's like, it's a war of human beings and robots. It's
Yeah,
like,
but that makes it
Max,
more efficient, right? You don't
AI.
like the efficiency. You like the creativity of the singular nature of the pattern.
I
Yes.
believe that the human beings, and I'm saying this to you as a person who makes robots and a person who's friends
Yeah,
with
I'm
Elon
deeply
that makes
offended right
robots.
now,
Yeah.
but I'll let it go. It's
Okay.
good.
So yeah, I believe that
Yay hates robots. I'm not gonna put that out there. It's a joke.
robots have feelings too.
Yeah, that's right.
That was also a joke.
We need to clarify that for future robots. But the pattern cutter, you don't like that. That had to be that. That's you can't have that part of your life.
That's not what my everything that I'm doing is for the sake of the human race.
Yes.
There's things in capitalism, there's things
And
in
socialism.
technology. Well, technology and original human species can exist in a peaceful way, as long as the people that know how to make robots aren't using their robots to control the humans.
Exactly.
Lex.
Or take their jobs away.
Definitely something you have to be concerned about as we become more technologically savvy. That, my friend, is why engineering isn't everything. That you have to desperately study the lessons of history. In Nazi Germany, science was used to create atrocities. Engineering, the same. Engineering could be a tool of war.
We are still in the Holocaust. A Jewish friend of mine said, come go visit the Holocaust Museum. And my response was, let's visit our Holocaust Museum, Planned Parenthood.
With all due respect, I grew up in the Soviet Union. I'm Jewish. Parts of my family perished in the Holocaust of Nazi Germany. I have to push back that there is a difference of the atrocities at that scale, at that time, on an entire people.
I was going to say the number, that's the difference.
It's not the number.
Because 6 million, well, also, African Americans are actually Jew also, the lost tribe of
I can
Israel.
push back on that too.
Okay, so well, everyone came from Africa.
I am African. I'm basically African American. We're brothers.
And we're both Jew, and we're brothers. So
we're human.
6 million people died.
Why would he push back on that? This is my thing though. I get where Ye is coming from, but I would say that not every single African American is a Jew, or at least comes from Jewish ancestry, right? Obviously, the continent of Africa was there when the 12 lost tribes or the 10 lost tribes migrated from Israel or Israel at the time to Africa, but there were already tribes that were there. I don't want to make it seem as if there weren't tribes that were already living there that eventually ended up becoming slaves and moving to from Africa, West Africa, right? Specifically West Africa, all the way to the Jamaican and Caribbean islands, then into the United States. So not every single African American comes from that ancestry. Only a select few. And that's exactly why you have to do your research. You have to get a DNA test and determine what part ancestry you're from and see if both your mom and your father come from that same ancestry. And then from there, you can determine it.
In the Holocaust, over 20 million have died by the hands of abortion. And the media promotes the My Body, My Choice, which is actually still a promotion for Planned Parenthood. 50% of Black deaths a year is actually abortion. It's not the cop with the knee. It's not Black on Black violence and gang violence. It's not heart attacks. It's actually abortion. The most dangerous place for a Black person in America is in their mother's stomach.
So sad.
900.
You know how sad that is to say?
To a million.
You know how sad that is to say? That the average Black man or the Black boy that becomes into a Black man, he's not even safe in his own mother's stomach. And that just goes to show you, bro. That's exactly what happens when people have indiscriminate sex, bro. And they're not using condoms and they're not trying to wait till marriage, or at least taking it seriously, bro. When it comes to, let's just say, for example, you don't want to wait till marriage, right? And that's not for you, which is, it is what it is. That's your choice that you're gonna have to make. But it's like you're just having sex with random men and then you're not protecting yourself too. And then imagine not protecting yourself as well too. And then you're also murdering the child. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I believe this topic of My Body, My Choice, if you believe in that and you eventually end up murdering a fetus, it should be considered a felony. I'm gonna be honest. I believe it should be considered a felony. But let's continue.
Million abortions in the United States a year. I hear you. But there's something about the rape, the torture, the murder of children, women, men, the complete humiliation and just the suffering that was endured during World War II.
That's what we deal with on our TVs right now with Black people. Soros would use Black trauma economy to win an election. What I love is having a healthy conversation. And as opposed to, there's certain things, boom, this drops, people are gonna have pussy hats on. Boom, this drops, it's gonna be, Black people and white people with signs. Boom, this drops. So, hey, China, hey, left agenda, hey, what we're gonna do is say that our species can have a healthy conversation.
Can I just linger on this? Because when you say Jewish media, there's a echo of a pain that people feel that reminds
You're
an
saying it,
entire.
you're saying it's redundant, right?
No, I'm not saying it's redundant.
I'm saying it's redundant.
You're saying it's redundant.
It's a
I'm
redundant
saying
statement.
it's something
the
that
same thing.
I'm saying that it's something that Joseph Goebbels, the propaganda minister of Nazi Germany, said. I'm saying it's been said so many times in order to murder and torture Jewish people that
I
it
would.
just rings wrong.
I know, and that's the
Just
thing.
like the N word when spoken by people that have the same skin color as me, it reminds people of a very dark time.
I know if Jewish people would accept that I'm Jew, then
That's the problem, though. Yeah, they're never going to accept it unless they see it through DNA evidence. Same thing with myself as well too, because you see that same mindset and belief. I possess the exact same mindset and belief. I believe I'm a Jew as well too, right? I believe I come from one of the lost 10 tribes. Um, but the thing is that unless there's DNA evidence to prove that, they're not going to accept us as one of their own. You understand? It is what it is.
they would see what I'm saying in a different way. They would hear it in a different way.
But see, the people, you saying you're Jewish, that
No, I'm Jew, not Jewish.
Jew.
Jewish means like that of a Jew. I'm saying I'm Jew.
you're a Jew.
Blood of Christ.
That
Orthodox
comes from
Christian.
right. But are you a follower of the philosophy of the Black Hebrew Israelites? Because that's where the idea comes from. Not all of those folks are extremists, but some are extremists.
I'm a follower of the idea. I have a vague idea that all people came from Africa. But what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
now I could Andy Kaufman this about 7 more minutes,
Yeah.
and then tell you what it is, what
Should
the
I
whole
count?
point is.
Let's count 7 minutes.
No,
Do less.
I did this to do a spoiler alert.
Sure, spoiler.
What's the first thing I said at the beginning?
We're talking about engineering and humans. We're all
And I
human
said, and then what did I say we shouldn't focus on?
race.
Not just that. I said they shouldn't teach this in school.
History.
The history, because what they do, what schools are doing is exactly what the CIA does with Pixar films and Disney films. They make Bambi's mom die in the beginning, right? And off that pain comes a purchase of ice cream. Off that pain comes, I need some more toys. Off that pain comes, I need a bigger house. Off that pain comes, I need more girls than my wife. Off that pain comes, so they put that pain in to make us, now we're the orphans of capitalism, to make us be consumers. And we need to be a community, not just consumers. So I could have went another 7 minutes by being a person who presents himself in a way that says, well, I don't have to feel your pain because I also have pain too that's not being recognized. And in every interview, when I say, well, why did I get to the point of putting up the tweet? No one wants to understand why I got to that point,
You
right?
had pain. You had pain.
Yeah, but
You
no
had
one.
pain in your heart.
But let's say this: undoubtedly, Jewish people have a lot of movies about that pain, and Black people have a lot of movies about the pain of slavery, right? It's almost impossible to find a movie about Mansa Musa. When you go to the African History Museum in Washington, D.C., it doesn't start with the idea of Africans being kings. It starts with the idea of Africans being slaves. But here's another interesting point about this.
Facts.
This was said to me one time, and it stuck with me as a family member of mine. With Africans, how many times you've heard like a rapper or, talk about we were kings? That's incorrect if we're Jew. If we're Jew, and since we are, we weren't the kings. We were the slaves that Moses freed.
Facts. Facts. And this is the thing. And this is exactly why I said what I said about Ye earlier. And I said, listen, if we were the slaves that Moses freed from Egypt and brought us back to the land of Canaan before 1,000 years passed, and the tribes were dispersed after the northern and southern kingdom, right? That just goes to show you that people like Mansa Musa was a native to Africa. He more likely than not, he wasn't a Hebrew Israelite. He wasn't a Jew. That just goes to show you that even in that situation, there are certain African Americans that are here in America now that come from Africa, but are not that don't have any tie to the Jews. Why? Because their original tribe was from West Africa, not that they migrated there from a different part of the world, like Israel. You understand? But let's continue.
Africans have always said, you've listened to rap music and hear black people say, we kings, we blood of the pharaohs. And if we are Jew, then we weren't. We were the people that Moses freed. And when we talk about, have you heard black people talk about 400 years of slavery?
Mm-hmm.
All right. That is and we're having this history lesson, right?
I thought history doesn't matter. You're exploring ancient history and drawing deep wisdom from it. And at the same time saying we need to forget all of it. We need to put that behind us.
Absolutely. We need to forget it and we need to move forward.
There's so much wisdom to draw from history, even the 20th century. Look at this, communism. Without the lessons of history of the 20th century, communism sounds like a great idea, except that some of the worst atrocities conducted by Stalin and Mao that killed 50, 100 plus million people, not just killed, tortured, starvation, where people, cannibalism, they ate each other, they ate their children. There's just dark, people should read some books on this, on the Holodomor in the 1930s.
But I disagree.
With that lesson, we would, and now it's becoming more popular. Marxism and communism.
I'm not disagreeing that happened. I'm disagreeing that we need to harp on the things that happened, because the truth is, I'm giving a fact. 50% today of, let's say you don't call black people Jew, right? Black people's deaths today is abortion today, right now. Like that, it's not racism. That's too wide of a term. It's genocide and population control that black people are in today in America
To destroy
that is
the race.
promoted by the music and the media that black people make, that
Facts.
Jewish record labels get paid off of, or media companies. Record labels and media company also, so let's give it a wider.
You know, I agree with Martin Luther King. I have a dream too.
Martin Luther
that
King
one day
was...
you would not be judged by the color of your skin or your race, black or Jew, but by the content of your character. All the assholes that fucked you over in the music industry, fuck artists over in the music industry, are individuals. They're not Jews.
They are Jewish.
It doesn't. They're human with opportunities, and they took those opportunities. I don't care if they're Jewish.
Do you feel like I
Jew-
should release that pain and separate it?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're saying I should release that pain and separate it, then I'm telling you, you should release your pain and separate it, and we could get to this, the list of how you are a being with engineering opportunities.
That's 100%. I see what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing. The pain, I'm gonna let it go. Engineering challenges, I get it. One of the problems you highlight is people get fucked over in the music industry, and get fucked over in the media, get fucked over all over the place.
They created, there was a Jewish trainer that brought me to the hospital and put in press that I went to the hospital. I know friends that off of exhaustion, a Jewish doctor, they diagnosed me.
Why do you keep saying Jewish?
Because they were, right? Diagnosed me with bipolar disorder and shot me with medication and put me on medication, then put it in the press. And every time, even if I wore the wrong color hat that a nigger is not supposed to wear, right? Then they immediately say he's off of his shit, he's off his meds, he's off of his rocker, and it's literally used as a scarlet letter control mechanism for the people. Understand, the kids, the colleges, the high schools, What do you think they put me right now? They put me as the prophet, not the leader. It doesn't have to be the leader, right? Because we need a more intelligent person to be the leader. But at least, right? They put me as the prophet. They put me as the only person that would say this. And I'm just saying that was 4 Jewish members that controlled my voice because for the fact that 90% of Black people in entertainment, from sports to music to acting, are in some way tied into Jewish business people, meaning that in some way, just like if Rom is sitting next to Obama or Jared sitting next to Trump, there's a Jewish person right there controlling the country, the Jewish people controlling that who gets the best video or not,
That's facts.
controlling what the media says about
It's a
me.
person, not Jewish. Let me just say one thing.
But they are though. That's the only thing. It just so happens that they are. It just so
You
happens that they are.
saying
That
that's
doesn't
a
mean that I hate them.
yes,
That
yes,
just
yes.
means that they are.
But it's a dog whistle. 2, let me just say, as I would love to add more love to the world, I would love you to do that as a person with a big voice, with a big, powerful voice that a lot of people look up to. And when you say Jewish media, it's funny how this world works that way. When you say Jewish media or Jews are controlling the voice of Black artists, Black people, Black artists, when you say
Am
that,
I not allowed to say it out loud?
you can say it. There's a large number of people that are hurting and have anger and even have hate in their heart when they hear Jewish media. That hate starts being directed towards the Jewish people. Do you acknowledge that? Do you understand? Can you feel the hate in the world? That comes to the surface when you say stuff like that.
Okay. I feel that when we go into therapy, my dad was a therapist, and obviously I've got some therapy skills myself. A lot of people, my music is healing. These type of spa-like existences are healing. The color palettes I use are healing. And we can use healing words, right? What I really feel I feel that there's no accountability and no responsibility on Jewish people in media to at least start with owning up with the facts of what's dealt with and tell me if I say the facts out loud, to the point of Ari Emanuel writing a letter in the Financial Times trying to take food out of my children's mouth, telling people that they're not allowed to work with me. From Chris Como or Pierce Morgan getting me to apologize and separate Jewish business people from the families of the Jewish business people, which I did. Update. I did that. That already happened. And
that was a shitty apology. That wasn't really an apology. But shout out to that conversation.
I need to get on my knees and kiss the dick of Howard Stern and
you don't need to kiss anyone's dick.
But that's what you guys are acting like.
You guys, look at that.
Because you're talking about it's a shitty opinion, apology. But where's our fucking apology? Watch this.
Sorry.
We don't get. Thank you. Not done. Let's move on.
Sorry. Do I need to get on my knees or no?
And kiss my dick.
Oh shit!
So
this escalated quickly.
So that's escalated quickly. So
nice.
What? No, I'm saying where's our apology? But right, we can't get to apology because you're telling me there's no right way for me to word it. So tell me, for me, a person who's been fucked on my deals and a person that has friends that never figured out how to make shoes with a German company that couldn't tell me to wear a BLM shirt and take off my red hat, like what would have happened if I was at Nike, right? Tell me exactly how to engineer the situation I'm in.
I'll tell you exactly how. You got a big voice. Have the balls as a man to call out the individuals. Don't call them Jews. Call them by their name and start a war against those individuals. They're not Jewish.
But if that's the case, will you help me with that?
Sure.
Okay.
100%. Assholes are well, let me flip that too. I don't understand the industry well. I see that people are fucking people over for sure. But how do you solve that? If if you right now run the world's, you're doing a million things, but say you ran also a record label.
I have ran a record label. Well, I've been ran by a record label where I was the face of a record label and had Big Sean and different people complaining to me, and I knew fuck about running a record label. I was simply just a talented producer and an influencer
Yes.
that then started good music, but I wasn't the one running good music.
How would you do it differently?
This is something I propose. I would look at the top 10 execs in 3 fields, in sports, film, and music. And I would look at the top 10 clients, participant, talent. I would look at the top talent in each of those fields, the top 10 of them. And some of them are going to be Tom Brady. Some of them are going to be Taylor Swift. Some of them, they're not all going to be black, right? Some of them will be Adele, right? And we'll look at all their contracts transparently, and we'll compare the notes and re-engineer like it's a new constitution.
Yeah.
Because when I told my dad when I was 19 that I was going to get into the music industry, he begged me not to. He said, I heard it's treacherous. Now I'm in a position where I've been through it. I saw it. I went out, made some money somewhere else. I saw my name get smeared. I saw my family get destroyed. I saw my reputation get destroyed. And I'm back here to have this I'm back here as a being with engineering opportunities.
So,
wait a second. If you say it's a shitty apology, what is the version of the apology short of kissing Howard Stern's dick?
I don't think anyone wants to kiss Howard Stern's dick.
That's the whole point, Howard Stern. Nobody wants to kiss your dick, so shut the fuck up. I said, by the way, I'm antagonizing you, Howard Stern. I used to be a fan of you.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm still a fan sometimes.
Now you're just doing clickbait like everybody else. Now you're just a sad old man, Howard.
All right.
Now, Howard Stern, this is the first time anyone's said your name in years. Your own family doesn't say your name unless they're calling to get their bills paid.
You're going hard. I'm just see, that's beautiful right there. That's much better than calling Jewish media. Go after individuals.
Okay,
go
so
after individuals.
And
if you don't talk shit about me, talk shit about me. This is great.
And you know what that is?
Yeah, what's that? Engineering.
That's an engineer's approach.
Yeah, engineers. Yeah. Yeah. You should learn some of that.
We all can use our pain against each other.
Yeah.
Or we can say we're a being with engineering opportunities. And we can know about history. So let me change something. We can have just to be judgmental. People say thou shalt not judge. I was talking to Camille Vasquez. She says, I'm very judgmental. That's what we're doing. I believe, now you could go to Bible and one thing's gonna say one thing, another thing may be contradicted in a way, and then the pastor has to unpack it. I believe that we are to judge. If you look at some food and it's got a fly coming out of it, you can then judge at that point. You're supposed to use your better judgment. But whenever someone doesn't want to change something they're doing, they'll say, don't judge me, right? But as a species, you called for me. You got the breakthrough. And by the way, it's only an engineer that I would respect to tell me of how to update how I'm communicating. Because this started off, right? I've been through all these interviews. Let me go to this. You said this was a sorry apology. I was very specific. I said the Jewish, because by the way, it's a barrage, right? It's a thing where I don't even remember the names at a certain point, right? Mm-hmm. It's like if a girl was getting raped by men, if that person is not 18, right? And she was getting raped since 14, right? And she still got this face, this super like Irina Shayk level face, right? She might say, I hate men. That woman may say, I hate men. She might get to that point because she was raped. On my contracts, and no one can say this is ramped up. No one, Howard Stern can't say this is ramped up. Ari Emanuel can't say this is ramped up. George Soros knows damn well that I'm not ramped up. George Soros knows, like, wow, this guy's like a younger guy that's looking at what I did and looking at how I control the world silently, and he's calling it out.